Thursday going, or whenever you're watching this. We're recording this for a Thursday. We've started a series calling it Recalibrate Your Heart. I'm sort of convinced, not just because it's the new year, but even because of the weary times that we live in. A lot of people's hearts, meaning their spirits, their souls, have sort of grown weary. Weary either because of all the stress that's going on in these days, or just weary because, I've been a Christ follower since, probably 1977 or 78. It's easy to get stale, even spiritually. And so in this series about recalibrating your heart, we are talking about trying to find a new north, a new focus for our spirits, for our souls, that actually makes sense, that actually help not only our lives, but reflect a proper devotion to the Lord that we say we believe in. I came across a verse in Psalm 34 that in some ways sums it up pretty well. Psalm 34 and verse 8 says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." Taste and see that the Lord is good. Now, of course, how happy is the person who takes refuge in him. But I like the metaphor of taste and see that the Lord is good. And the writer is putting it in a form that makes it very, experiential. The spiritual life can be so intellectual. What's the next good book I can read? And what's the next lecture I can listen to? And it sort of becomes all in the head, all in the mind. And so we become almost Gnostics, where our spirituality is almost entirely about knowledge and not about experience. Taste and see that the Lord is good. And when you taste something again, wow, you remember it, or that taste takes you back to when you first experienced it. And sometimes we're not really good at that. I told our church last Sunday a story. A movie that came out probably around 2000 was a French movie called Chocolat, and it's the story of a woman and her daughter that move into this little French village, and they set up a chocolate shop, and they make the best chocolate in the whole village, and everybody's coming to the village to eat this great new chocolate, and they're all loving it, and everybody loves it except this one guy who is the mayor of the town, and he's sort of this pious stick in the mud, and he doesn't want anybody to enjoy that chocolate, and he's doing his best to thwart the spreading of the chocolate in the little village where he is the mayor. In some ways, I think it's sort of a metaphor for the vices of the flesh. Toward the end of the movie, toward the climax of the movie, it even takes place during Lent, where you give up things, and he wants no one to eat chocolate, and no one's listening to him, really. He finally breaks into the shop to ruin all the chocolate, and he actually gets to taste a little bit of the chocolate. Long story short, he loves it, and he eats all of it until he finally falls asleep in the shop window, I think on a sugar high. But the whole idea being he was so against it intellectually and so against it morally for some reason. But when he tasted it, it changed everything. And so in some ways, as we talk about recalibrating our hearts, to be able to get to the point where we just don't know intellectually or abstractly the things about the Lord, things about our God, or even the things about our spirit, but to actually taste and see that the Lord is good, to actually experience in our hearts, in our souls, in our emotions, that spiritual life that through Christ connects us with God. That's sort of the recalibration that I want us to talk about. On Tuesday, we talked about the spiritual rhythms and routines that sort of help us with those experiences. On next Tuesday, I want to talk to you about them a little bit and just see, so you might see what they are and even see where you are in those spiritual rhythms. Last time I asked you to assess where you are in the life of your soul and where do you want to be. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Recalibrate your hearts toward experiencing, not just intellectually knowing, but experiencing who God is. On Tuesday, we'll get into some of the practices, and I think we'll be able to understand, hey, I can do that, or I ought to be doing that. Okay? That's it for now. I'll see you next Tuesday, and have a great weekend. See you.